Okay, so next up here, Chris, and I'm not going to say I'm going to say people should ask: is Chris Schaefer running enough image extensions?
Wow.
How do you respond to that, Chris? Am I running image extensions? Could I be adding more um, image extensions these days? I think that's something that's very powerful that a lot of people are missing, and so it's a good question to ask yourself at the end of the month. Chris,
Yeah.
where do you stand? I'm asking you, where are you with image extensions these days?
I love image extensions. They deliver the same experience to end users. They still take you to the same page that you would have if you clicked on the headline, but for us, the advertiser, we get a little bit of a benefit. We can actually see people that clicked on the image and not the headline. You can see that
Yeah,
in the click type, which is kind of interesting. Like, oh, look at that. What attracted their attention was the image. Number two, you can add a bunch, and
yeah.
it's really interesting to see which ones are getting clicked and how it can increase your CTR, your click through rate. I love it. I don't think that there's a downside, except not everybody gets to play the image extension game. You only get image extensions if you're within the bounds of the free and clear Google Ads environment. If you are outside of that, if you're in any kind of industry that Google's like, this is questionable, medical,
Hmm.
like anything related to, you know, lawyer, legal stuff like that, doesn't usually
Kind of
allow for things
what
like
Chris
that.
does on the weekends.
Right, right. If it's
Yeah,
anything
I'm seeing the
questionable,
subvertical, sensitive verticals, sexual content,
some,
alcohol,
yep,
gambling, and healthcare.
right. Those are definitely all, especially healthcare. I'm always involved because I got to go to the hospital after all of it.
Yeah,
But
after all
yeah,
that, yeah. No, so yeah, so we'll talk about like the requirements to be allowed to run image extensions, and then we can
yeah,
talk about what makes a good image extension. Now, you said there's no downside. I think the
yeah.
one downside is if you use bad images, if you don't do it well.
Okay. Yeah.
You
Downside
know,
is it's limited to people being dumb about choosing the image. Yeah.
well, there's
Like,
some, yeah, there's some bad images out there. So let's talk about the requirements. Your account has to be open for more than 90 days, Chris. It
mhm.
was very refreshing to see this because I've done some training recently where we go into the ad extensions and we're kind of looking at what ad extensions should be running and could you add more. And I look for that image extension. I'm like, your account doesn't have it. See that over and over. Now I know why.
Now, yeah.
Your account has to be open for more than 90 days, or you may not even see the image extension option on the ad extensions page. The account has to have good history of policy compliance. Um, your text ads have to have been running and getting spend for at least the last 28 days. So this gets us back to the conversation, Chris, of like, should I pause my ads? Or we've had a good 2 weeks to the month. We're going to
Huh.
pause our ads.
Pause.
It
Yeah.
just,
It's going so well. I'm going to stop doing it.
yeah, it's just another example of how leaving your Google account, your Google Ads account on just leads to better things.
Yeah.
And you don't get to
That's a
run
good point.
image extensions if you don't have 28 days of consistent
Yeah.
ad spend. Um, and then if you're in a sub vertical that's sensitive, like what we talked about, you aren't eligible for image extensions. Now, what's a good image extension, Chris? How many should you run? It says you should run at least three. Um, and relevant images and useful images. Kind of
Okay.
vague there, kind of a
Yeah.
judgment call. But the way I'm kind of handling that, Chris, is I'm looking at images to kind of be an extension of my ad copy. So, like, if I'm
Yeah.
advertising for, say, like a concierge doctor, and people are searching for a doctor where they don't have to deal with a big company, they can deal with one doctor, pay him directly, and all that kind of stuff. I think a perfect image for that would be one doctor, the doctor.
Yep.
And because people are searching concierge doctor, that copy says concierge doctor, Dr. So and so, meet Dr. So and so. And then the image
Mm-hmm.
extension is relevant. It's him
Yeah.
or her, it's just one person. And then the image extension is useful because you get to see who the doctor is, as
Yeah.
opposed to a picture of a medical symbol or
Right.
a medical
Something
device or something like that, or
something
a building.
impersonal, or just to go on that same kind of thing. If you're running if you're a dentist and you're running ads on Google, don't show someone's open mouth, with a metal with a metal hook, in their mouth. Show the picture of the picture of your building.
Yeah,
Like a friendly or a group shot of all your employees together.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think you're right on something there.
Or yeah, or for
And
that, if you are going to do something more detailed, do that in that ad group, the braces ad group or whatever.
yeah, sure, sure,
And Chris, and then to get back to anecdotal evidence, which I just love here,
yes,
um, I have an example of a campaign. Overall click through rate on the campaign was 5.25%. When the image extension showed, it was 9.13%. So 5% versus 9%. What's interesting on this one example is, and I saw this actually in a couple accounts, the actual clicks on the image are very low. The actual clicks on the image itself are low. But when the image shows, clicks on the overall ad on the text like dramatically increase. So I thought that was interesting.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it calls attention to
But it's just interesting because people aren't so much they're not conditioned to
yeah.
click on images. They're still conditioned to
Gonna click
click
on the
on the ad.
headline. Yeah, the blue. Click on the blue. We're conditioned to links are blue.